What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Millionaire Voices, episode number 10. Today, I have the honor of interviewing the legendary Dr. Rick Goodman, global guru, motivational speaker, author, and serial entrepreneur. Today, we dive in with Rick to learn about how he's attained so much success in business, how he teaches entrepreneurs with his programs and his coaching, and what it's like to be a speaker and work with professional athletes as a chiropractor and be a successful entrepreneur living a happy life. So tune on in right now.
Thanks so much, Danny. And it's pretty cool for me to be here since I've known you since before you were born. Knowing your dad for all these years and you coming to the house and seeing you grow as an entrepreneur. And the thing that I embrace the most and really enjoy the most is you are a lifelong learner. You just want to suck up that knowledge and share. And what people really need to understand is learning never stops. It continues. And those people that think they know it or they got it all, that's when they start to go the opposite way and they start to not succeed because, if you're not progressing, you're regressing. So just to see, that energy and to see what you're doing with this is tremendous, so it's nice because I've seen what we would call the backstory.
Wow. And you actually, it's funny you say that because that's exactly why I wanted you to come here, Rick, because, and I really appreciate those words from someone I look up to in this life thus far because, and you hit the nail on the head with a lesson right there. And I've learned that is that you have to continuously learn. And that's exactly why I wanted to bring you on this show where you can really tell people what it's like. And, for me, I think people just got to understand besides me telling them that, and you can look him up online and know, what and who Dr. Rick Goodman is. But I'm so curious about the backstory from your end, where you come from, and then we can really dive into the business side of it. But where are you from?
Well, today I'm going to share some stories that I've absolutely never shared in public with anybody about my upbringing, what drives me, because my daughter always says to me, well, Dad, they don't know the backstory, what you kind of went through. And my daughter didn't know it until we took a trip to Europe and ended up writing a book together, which is another story. But I grew up in Oceanside, Long Island, and great town when I grew up there. And I grew up under the control of what I'd call Norman Goodman, my dad. And so some people out there may have had people tell them that they couldn't do things in life and they weren't good enough or whatnot. And that was usually based on how their references were. And they just didn't know any better. Well, my dad really didn't know any better. So he would say to me all the time, you'll never go to college. All you do is chase skirts and play hockey, or you're not smart or you're stupid or all these things. Now, some people will buy into that. Other people will be the opposite. I'm kind of like George Costanza. So I do the opposite. So you can either embrace what other people say or say, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I'm a complete prove you wrong person, no matter what it is. So, I kind of embrace that stuff. And started my first job was as a dishwasher at an IHOP at 12 years old, because back then you could go work if your parents signed for something, you can work that young. And then it was at a Wendy's before Where's the Beef. And then one summer I worked as a garbage man in the morning and a lifeguard in the afternoon because it was a political thing. So if your parents knew somebody in the town or the county and you can get a job, well, I would literally get up in the morning at 6 and I'd get on the back of the garbage truck. And I remember my grandmother always said that that's when she was the most proud of me, because it wasn't beneath me to go and pick up someone's garbage, knowing that I eventually was going to be a doctor because that was kind of my path. And it was just about doing the little things and recognizing that in life, everybody is important. And I always give the example, if that garbage man didn't come to your house for a week or a month, who would be the most important person in your life that time? It'd be that garbage man. So, I embrace everybody's job as being important and vital, because it really is as you go along the route of life and you meet people and recognize that everybody contributes.
Did you have those thoughts you said at an early age? You were already seeing having that type of compassion and understanding early on?
Well, I guess I had that compassion understanding because my upbringing was more abusive, mentally, physically, emotionally, etc. And again,
Hmm.
you can either embrace that or not. And played hockey, so I was playing hockey and traveling around the world playing hockey.
Oh,
And
wow.
and one day I'll never forget. I was 12 years old, sitting on my bed, and I said, I don't want to play anymore.
Hmm.
And my father came in, and my father had polio. So what happened was he was a baseball player. He was going to be a professional baseball player, and he was playing in the city championships in New York.
Hmm.
And he was supposed to play in a tournament for the weekend in the city. And my grandparents said, "No, we want you to. You're coming upstate New York, where everybody would go on the weekends." Well, he went upstate New York, and he came back. And when he woke up Monday, he couldn't get out of bed. He had polio.
Mm.
The next day, they came out with the vaccine. So literally he couldn't move his legs. One leg was thinner than the other, and he lived his sports life through me. And he stood on the bed, and his fist was bigger than my face. And he said, "You're gonna play, you're gonna like it, you're not gonna quit. Goodmans don't quit." And I
Mm.
remember I kind of hated him for that, but it's a lesson that if you ask my children what a Goodman's not doing, they'll say quit. We don't give up, we
Wow.
don't can't. So you never know where those lessons will come. And
Okay.
that lesson even passed through in my time with the Rams, which I could tell you about later, which was another story. And again, it's being the authentic you, and we all have references,
Mm.
and the only way we can change our references is by changing our experience. And just because your references when you grew up and people told you certain things, that doesn't mean it's true. I've even had
Let,
my accountant tell me something the other day, and I had to look at it and say, well, those were his references, but that's not my journey.
that's yeah. My question to you there, Rick, is with the narrative that you're changing. Pretty much with this stuff you saying that was rather negative or abusive or something that's telling that you can't do something, almost giving you a limiting mentality. But you had a strength and a mental strength to say, you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong, and you brushed it off. How were you able? You said, were you able to channeling it through hockey? How were you channeling that? Do you think, in the sense of people can't brush it off like people weren't brushing it off like you in this world right now that come from these same backgrounds and they couldn't get to as successful as you because they couldn't brush it off.
Well, here's the deal. I look at someone and say, if they can do it, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided I was playing hockey in the Spectrum in Philadelphia when I was 12 years old. I went headfirst into the boards, couldn't move my neck. I went home, and our family friend came over who was a chiropractor, adjusted me, and I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a chiropractor. And it was pretty much as simple as that.
That's so cool.
When I saw Brian Tracy get up on stage in front of thousands of people in a
Mm-hmm.
success, program, I said, that's what I want to do. And Brian Tracy is the top testimonial on the back of my new book, The Solutions Oriented Leader, and a good friend of mine now. So, you can really achieve anything that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not what happens to you. It's what you do with it that makes the big difference, because we all go through hard times, through failures, through deaths. I've been through every single one of those things. And, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do with it, and how you look at it. And that's why I wrote The Solutions Oriented Leader, because anybody could pick out the problems, my children, anybody. But you don't get paid for picking out problems, you get paid for solutions and getting up there and looking down and seeing what we can do to help other people. And that's really kind of what it boils down to, and getting out of yourself,
and, and that's gold right there, because it allows the person to really just live the best life. That's what you're going for, right?
Right. It's not predetermined. I remember after my wife passed away, she had cancer for 8 out of the 10 years we were married.
Mhm.
And, the year after that, I always look at my horoscope from the New York Times on my birthday. That's the only day. And
Wow.
this horoscope it's in my book, because it basically said that everything in life is up to you. It's your choice. What is it you want to do with your life? Get up and do it, and get started today. And it spoke to me as it should speak to everybody, because it really is a choice. And, once you're done with college and school, your parents aren't there to tell you what to do. You get to choose it. Now, if you allow other people to influence you, well, then that's your own situation.
Yeah, and, I really respect that, because hey, look, I try to take the approach for people who can't just brush it off like you and tell them, listen, stop beating yourself up because it's not serving you. Look, do what Dr. Rick Goodman did. he brushed it off. He just told you about 8 things that were pretty big things that are, I would say, very, dark and or considered heavy in life, and
You talk about
channeled it.
Pareto's principle, and it's the 80-20 rule.
Mhm.
And 80% of the people are going to be great in your life, and 10%, maybe the crabgrass that grows on the earth, and another 10% you'll get rid of. And you know what? When you get rid of them, the another 10% is going to come in. And here's what happens. If I had 100 patients come in a day,
Okay.
and 99 said, you are the best, and one said, you're the worst doctor I've ever been to, you hurt me, I used to focus on that one person instead of the 99 people that said something good.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, and that person could have won the lottery and they would complain about paying taxes.
Yeah.
Someone licked all the red off their candy cane kind of thing,
Wow.
So they'll never be happy. They're always focusing on doom and gloom. And we know people like that have the perpetual clouds over their head.
You take pride in seeing why they were unhappy, but 99 people are happy, you're doing something right.
Right. And the thing is, focus on what you can do and the people you can help. Your tribe. It's not everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
Yep.
I can't help everybody, but there's people that I specialize in working with leaders and CEOs and entrepreneurs that want to grow big businesses because I've done all those. So that's the lane that I stay in. I know what my strengths are and I focus on them. And then what I do is I put a team together that can do all the things I can't do. So, I always say, my kids will say, well, Dad, don't be that guy. And I say, no, I want to be that guy. And that guy is the person who's top of mind, the person who is the go-to person. So, if someone says, I'm flying down to Florida or Miami, and they'll say, oh, call Rick Goodman. He knows this. And if that person calls me, if I can help them, great. If not, I'm calling 5 of my friends, and they're going to be able to help and access. Because it's about transforming your thinking, optimizing your assets, and accelerating your connectivity. We got to think differently, and we have to think, what are our assets? Our assets are the technology we know, our friends, people, our associates. These are all assets to us. And then we have to accelerate our connectivity. We've got to accelerate how much we engage with people and the speed at which we do business, because people want things done quickly.
How would you say, I guess speeding it up, I usually like to hear every part of the life, but because you brought it up, how do you address that when it comes down to you're looking at what you need? Meaning, for example, you said technology. Like, how do you address which technology you need? Like, when you say we have access to these things, how does someone attack those things? They might know what to do, but how to do it.
Well, I don't think you have to know the how all the time.
True.
And again, that's about putting a team together. I just had a conversation with a big construction company, and the CEO called me up, and she was just distressed about so many things. And I said, listen, the first thing you have to do is slow down to speed up. We eat the elephant one bite at a time. So let's look at what is the first issue that we have to attack. And the first issue is organization of the website. Everything else will fall into place after that, marketing, stuff like that. But let's just look at doing the first step, then the second step, then the third step. Most people were so used to multitasking, and it doesn't work. You just get a lot of little things not done. It's easier to focus on 2 to 3 things a day, and that's it. Then you've accomplished your goals. Most people don't if they have a to-do list, they never get anything done. It makes them feel bad about themselves. So 3 things, your top 3 priorities a day will make you massively successful.
Wow.
If you improve 1% a day in 365 days, you're 365% better.
Ooh, I like that one.
Who wouldn't give you all their money to invest if you can show 365% return? And you know what? If you do something each day, something to improve yourself, something little, it doesn't have to be big, you're going to break it down and start to see that you've achieved your goals.
So you would say you're a big believer in consistency.
I will take persistence and consistency over talent any day of the week.
Okay.
Because so many people stop short of success and never know. And I was driving down one day, I was giving a seminar in Virginia. And if you've ever been in Virginia, the roads are so long and the exits are so far away. And I got a phone call from a friend of mine from high school that my best friend and his dad's best friend went out on a boat on Jones Beach Inlet in Long Island, and the wave hit the side of the boat, and my best friend and his dad's best friend went over the side of the boat and drowned. Well,
Mm.
as he told me the story, I was so shocked because I'd seen him a week before. I thought that was my exit, and I got off the exit. Well, I started to turn around, realizing I got off the wrong exit, and I drove back in the other direction 45 minutes. And then I realized I was going the wrong way again. I turned around and I went all the way back. And what I recognized, I stopped 100 yards short of my exit. But it took me all the way out. But I thought of it as a metaphor that how many of us stop just short of success and we don't know because we quit. We gave up. We weren't consistent. We didn't move forward. It's no different than down here in Florida. Yeah, I see people when the rain, we have torrential rains, and they pull the side of the road. I keep going because you know what? 100 yards later, it may not be raining because down here, it could rain on one side of the road, not the other. But again, it's that metaphor that you got to keep moving forward because what other choice do you have?
What other choice do you have? Really, really, what other choice do you have? And it's funny you say that. It resonates with me, so I appreciate it. Is I was someone who chose to, I'm gonna sit down and not go forward. And I'll be the first one to admit, it does not help you. It would only make you not enjoy life and what it has to bring. The life is a journey, and you got to keep going forward, no matter what. It leads me to knowing about more of your journey, Rick. If I really want to understand. I know you became a big-time chiropractor, then you got into the professional leagues with it. I'm curious about that journey when you became a chiropractor after your first adjustment when you wanted to become one.
Well, it's kind of interesting because when I went to chiropractic school, I went to Logan in St. Louis. But before I even went there, I went to a convention with my cousin. I worked in my cousin's office because I want to learn the business because most people don't know the business and they don't teach you business. They teach you how to treat patients. So I worked in his office in Queens, and we went to this college called Life College, and they had this DE convention, which was all about business and making money, and people there actually thought I was a doctor at that point. And I was actually kind of knowing how to adjust people even before I went to school.
That's cool.
And when I went to school, as everybody was just learning and wanting to get A's, I recognized that the most important thing was how to run a business. So I built my practice while I was in school, and then I went and worked for two of the top doctors, and I said, I'll be your slave. You don't pay me a penny. I just want to sit here and learn because I want to hear how they communicated with their patients, what they said, how they did all these things again that they didn't teach you in school. So the day before I graduated, I had already purchased a practice, and I already had made my first $100 deductible in my pocket in 1988, the day before I even got my diploma. I had that someone deductible in my pocket, and I drove to Jefferson City and picked up my diploma. So it probably wasn't too kosher at the time, but I was in practice the day after I graduated, and all the rest of my class was figuring out what they wanted to be when they grew up. So
I had a curve like that.
Yeah. So I built the practice very quickly, and then I ended up hiring a practice management person named Larry Markson, who ended up being one of my big mentors. And that's how I met your dad. I met your dad down at a seminar in Florida, and I would take my whole team, and there was training for the doctors on how to market and how to be better, and then there was training for your staff. And again, it was going outside the box and training. And when I saw Dr. Markson up on stage and he would bring in all these other talented speakers, I said, I want to do that. So one day I was tired of coming to Florida and paying the money for my whole team to be here. And I said, how about I start a base in the Midwest? And he said, it'll never work. You couldn't get the people there. And you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to prove you wrong. And he said, if you can get 25 doctors to move to the Midwest, I'll do it. And within about a half an hour, I had 25 doctors signed up, and we started the Midwest base of Markson Management Services in St. Louis. So now all my friends got to come and have breakfast at my house, and I didn't have to get on a plane and go, and I did that.
And what was that exactly when you said the 25 chiropractors? What?
20. I needed to get 25 chiropractors who were in this management group to move and commit that they would go to the Midwest instead of coming down to Florida.
And when you say go there to work?
No, go there to attend the conferences.
Oh, to just attend the conferences.
To attend, yeah,
Okay.
because we would meet, I'd say it was probably 4 times a year. So instead of us having to fly down to Florida, pay for the team,
You moved the
my whole
locations
staff,
of it.
I created a new location in the Midwest, and it eventually became the biggest location. So that way, and for reasons that were a little bit selfish, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to travel, but it created a great base. And in fact, 2 weeks ago, I was in Nashville with Dr. Andy Dixon, and he was one of the first doctors who moved from that base to the Midwest base.
So, just curiosity in the chiropractic space. You went from running different offices, 'cause I know you played a time period doing that, to speaking, or you did it at the same time, or to put on these events for these chiropractors to learn the business, which was in St. Louis.
Right. That was kind of pre me speaking. Although I was speaking all the time, because one of the things they encouraged was to do healthcare classes. And the first speech I ever gave was at the Working Women's Survival Show. And the first time I ever was recorded, I said 150 times in 5 minutes. And
See?
as you get better, you get better. So, what happened was I had sold my first practice because I decided I'd already done this, and I had gotten a job with a company called AT&T. And they had this 1-800-IMAGINE line. So they had me working on developing this 1-800-IMAGINE line. And this was way before cell service was out there. And then another company called me and said, we'd like you to put together these high-performance work organizations. And it was another small company called McDonnell Douglas. So I went with them and Boeing through their merger and set up self-directed work teams throughout the whole complex. So I was working with the people making the Tomahawk missiles, the F-15 fighter jets, and breaking down the process for them and getting them all set up in them. And then they would come up with ideas on what were the best ways to do the job. Because what we found out was the people who do the job know more than the people in what we called Mahogany Row, because they're on the floor there. So I set up a system of people coming up with different ideas, which ended up getting them bonuses, but saving millions of dollars in equipment by having better stuff. And I did that for a while.
And that was, you would say, your business acumen, that you were able to identify all this stuff at
I
the
have
time?
a talent for taking something difficult and making it simple.
Mm.
And I just can see that and see the structure and know what goes on. And it's because of, I always say there's 3 stages. And the first stage, and stage 1 is, you're throwing things at a problem or you're butting heads and stuff. Stage 2 is you're trying to figure out what to do. And stage 3, you're in the helicopter. And when you're in a helicopter, you could see down. So, for example, when they had the earthquake in Haiti, the first thing they did was everybody sent food to Haiti and all this. Now, all the food was sitting on the tarmac and everybody's in stage 2 and they're all arguing. Then what happened is the president sends in the Marines. They get up in helicopters and they can hover over the country and see the distribution sites and where people needed it and not, so they can get the problem solved. It's the same thing here. As an entrepreneur, as a business person, if you can get in that helicopter and you're looking down on the problem and you're not in it, you can now solve it. Because the challenge is emotionally getting yourself out of it, because we react from emotion, but we respond from intellect. So when you're not emotionally involved in it and you separate yourself, you can see it. And sometimes we can see problems and challenges in others or the solutions better than ourselves. That's where a coach comes in, because we're taking a different look from the helicopter versus being emotionally involved in that.
Yeah, that's what I've seen help me, because I've worked with coaches before, and they are like an extra brain. And you guys look at the problem with another perspective, with experience and wanting you to win. And it's a teammate. And I really like that business, and I want to dive into that in a little bit. My question to you is my curiosity you working with a professional sport team. You work with the St. Louis Rams?
St. Louis Rams, Miami Heat, and the St. Louis Ambush.
And what was the job?
Well, St. Louis Rams, I was one of the team physicians. So when I sold my practice, a friend of mine said, you should go back into practice. I said, I don't really want to do that. And my friend's the guy who coined the phrase, show me the money, Harold Lewis. He's a sports agent who owns National Sports Agency. And he said, the Rams are moving from L.A. to St. Louis. I can get you, the whole bunch of people, patients, all this. And my parents told me the same thing, but they didn't send anybody. But this is Harold. So I literally, started treating the players because I thought this would be cool. My son was 5 at the time. And Mike Jones was on the foundation. I was on the board of his foundation. And I would speak at his sports camps for kids during the summer. And Mike was a player who started out and went to Mizzou, the University of Missouri, so he was kind of a local favorite, and then he ended up going and playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was one of the best running backs at Mizzou, and they made him a linebacker, special teams, and he came over, and we bonded and became good friends through the foundation. Well, the third season in,
You're good.
we're good. Oh. So the third season in, they went through a whole bunch of different coaches, and things, weren't happening. And then they brought over Dick Vermeil. And Dick Vermeil was a transformational leader, and a transformational leader, someone who takes their vision, gives their people the tools, and supports their vision so they can accomplish their goals and objectives.
Mhm.
And he was that kind of guy. He would embrace people. He'd invite people over to his house for spaghetti dinners, and he had his own winery and stuff, and he would cry all the time. Everybody loved him. So they knew you can't sell what you don't own, and he loved these people. Well, Mike came in, and we had gotten this new quarterback. His name was Trent Green, and he was supposed to bring us to the promised land.
Mhm.
And the third game of the preseason, Trent Green went down with a season-ending knee injury. And Mike Jones came in my office, and the players would all come to my office around 6:30. And my son, Rams Park was about 10 minutes away, and my son would be in the office so he could see all the players. And he came in the room with Mike, and Mike said, Doc, we're done. We're gonna have another losing season. And they literally won the first 4 games when they moved from LA to St. Louis, and then lost every single game. They were the worst team in the 90s.
Mm.
People forget this. Well, he came in, he said, we're done, we're going to lose and everything. And I snapped, because you could take the New Yorker out of New York, but you can't take New York out of the New Yorker. And I looked right at him and I said, if you can't, then you must. If you must, then you will. And he's like, what? And I said, I cannot have negative things in my office. This is a place of healing. I've got real patients here. So you need to make a decision. If you're not going to be positive, then you can't be a patient in my office anymore. And I walked out. And my son looked at me and said, Dad, are you crazy? He could kill you. He's a giant. And I said, Alex, I do a job. I treat players. He has a job. He's a football player. But we both put our pants on the same leg.
Yep.
We both put our pants on one leg at a time. We're both the same type of people. And if you don't speak your truth, it's not going to happen. Well, fast forward, they get this guy named Kurt Warner. And Kurt Warner came off the shelves of stocking groceries, and the reality was not one coach wanted him except Dick Vermeil. Had this feeling, had this sixth sense. And I always call it's like your gyroscope. It's when you went and took that multiple choice test and you went back and changed the answer, you always change it from the right one to the wrong one.
Mhm.
And then you beat yourself up because you didn't trust your gut. Your gyroscope, it tells you. And when you start to learn it, you get it. Well, his gut was that Kurt Warner was going to take them to the promised land. He had a fast release. Well, the rest was history. All of a sudden, we became the greatest show on turf. Well, there was 6 seconds left in the Super Bowl, and the Tennessee Titans were coming down. They were getting ready to score a touchdown. They would have won the game. And the quarterback dropped back to pass. He threw the ball to Kevin Dyson. And on the 1-foot yard line, Mike Jones, my guy, made the winning tackle, one of the most famous tackles in history, known as the tackle. Well, the place went crazy. We won the Super Bowl. And 3 months later, my attorney calls me and he says to me, I said, my brother-in-law's a sports agent. Could you invite some of your players? We're going to have a golf tournament. I said, great. You even know it. Bob Pollock, you even know him. So, and Bob has had I'd say he has no knowledge of sports at all. Zero, like less than zero. And he doesn't care. So he's got to go pick up some VIP at the airport. And he calls me up. He says, I got to go pick up some VIP at the airport. I don't know who he is. I go, what's his name? He goes, I don't know, some guy named Tommy John. I go, you're going to pick up Tommy John at the airport? I mean, World Series champion, Cy Young Award, New York Yankees, Tommy John underwear. Are you kidding me? I need to see this guy. I said, so me, you, and Michael play together. And we're out there playing. And Tommy John was telling all these George Steinbrenner stories and stuff. And he finally looked at Mike. He said, what were you thinking, when it was, 6 seconds left in the game? And he said, you see this guy over here? This little guy, this guy is the most annoying New Yorker. He walks around and says, I can, I must, I will. He said, with 6 seconds left, all I thought was, I can, I must, I will. And when the whistle went off, I just bursted, grabbed them, and that was it. And then I don't remember a thing after that. And, you never know when you're going to have an effect on someone,
Wow.
say something that's going to change their path. And, we all have people maybe it's our parents, a teacher, somebody told us something
Yep.
that is still in your head today.
Yep.
And it may have affected the path of your life. It may have stopped you from doing things,
Mm-hmm.
or it may have encouraged you. And you remember that. I remember in my grandmother's house being probably 6 years old, and all these older people, businessmen, were there. And she said, "You have 2 ears and one mouth to listen twice as much as you speak." And she said, "You're going to learn a lot more about people in business if you're listening to them. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to tell you what their needs are, what their wants are. And if you become a better listener, which I'm working at every day, I even have a post-it note in front of my computer that says, 'Shut up and listen.'"
And Rick, I really love that one you told me that in the beginning of the episode is that you always need to be learning, and you're practicing what you're preaching right now, and you're so right with planting these seeds, especially that change people's lives, because in that moment it really it's crazy, you know. And that was I think that's 2000. That was the 2000 Super Bowl you're
Yeah,
talking about.
2000, 1999,
Yeah,
2000.
I saw that play, and I saw a kid cry who was a Tennessee Titans fan because of that tackle. But that's crazy. I never even thought of that. I would even hear that story in my life. So that was fascinating.
Well, it's in you.
And,
You didn't read the book then. The first book, Living a
no, I
Championship
haven't.
Life,
I mean, look,
is
I'll
all
say
about
it.
that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and Rick is an author of 2 books,
Three,
3 books.
soon to be 4.
Well, living a championship life.
Jamie's Journey, Travels with My Dad, and The Solutions-Oriented Leader. And now we're writing The Adaptability Zone, Achieving Certainty in Uncertain Times.
So let's talk about that real quick. You're an author. You've created books. You've wrote things to help people. What's it like to be an author? And any
It's funny when my kids say to me, I after my book was published and it went to #1 on Amazon, and we have the Solutions Oriented Leader podcast, and now the Solutions Oriented Leader Mastermind that you and I were discussing the other day, because the mastermind principle, when you get 2 people, like-minded people together, it's like a step-up battery, and 4, and they help work on your business. So we've got the Solutions Oriented Leader Mastermind for entrepreneurs or people that want to grow their business, and it's like having your own board of directors there that want to help you to grow. And I've had that my whole life, and I've chosen what I call my personal board of directors, people that I can call up and ask advice and move myself forward. And I think it's so important, because being connected is what really grows your business.
Mm-hmm.
It's when we're disconnected is when we start to have fear, which stands for false evidence appearing real, because most of the things you worry about never happen. And that's when we start to go in the opposite way. So it's that connection, as I said, in the transforming your thinking, optimize your assets, and accelerate your connectivity, that really counts.
And when you wrote the books and you published them and they went on the internet and Amazon and created sales, what was it like with people becoming so-called fans?
You know what? I still don't understand that people want me to sign my books. Although, like I said, when my kids asked me what I would sit there, I said, I think I'm most proud to be called American author. And the reason being is, there's over 680,000 books that are written every year, and less than 0.5% are ever truly published. Not self-published, because I've got a couple of self-published books, and depending on what you want to use them for, but this one was published by a company called Sound Wisdom Books, and they are the ones that do all the Napoleon Hills, all the Dale Carnegie books, and several great authors like my friends Sam Silverstein and Shep Hyken and Simon Bailey. And they're really high-end publishers doing the right thing. And so from my perspective, to be in 250 Barnes and Nobles, and companies buying 300 and 500 books at a time, and it's great, because as long as they're using it, they're getting a lesson. It means I'm serving more people, and that's how we are successful. You're only successful if you're serving.
Mm.
It's the way it works.
No, thank you for those words. And I actually would like to write some things that so-called publish, or call it a book or an ebook, because like you said, when you're giving as much as you can, it's serving people, and that's how life should be. Because when you're doing good things will happen, because you're for humanity. And I've seen that with you, and it speeds up to something that I'm so inspired about, was that you're considered a keynote motivational speaker. Talk to us a little bit about what you do in that space now.
Well, that space kind of closed down a little bit because of COVID, but it's opening up again. And my biggest love is getting up in front of thousands of people and sharing information, entertaining. And I say my programs all always bring three things. They bring motivation, entertainment, and content and action steps that the audience walks away and can implement right away successfully. So that's what really gives me my juice, is when people tell me something. Or I had a speaker, a famous speaker's wife, call me, Dr. Willie Jolly. He's got a Sirius XM show and all this, and his wife called me up, D, and the first words out of her mouth was, "Rick, you are so smart." And again, we all need affirmation. I was always told that I wasn't. So when I, woke up the other day and someone sent me an email congratulating me, and frankly, I was in the bathroom looking at my emails, and I looked at it and I found out that I was number 28 in the world on the global guru list for leadership behind,
Wow.
with Tony Robbins and Patrick Lencioni and Ken Blanchard and John Maxwell and, all these monster speakers, Cy Wakeman. And I thought, well, I guess someone thinks I'm smart. So
Ah.
again, a lot of us are out there still
Mm.
fighting those demons,
Wow.
and we called it MFTP, Mother, Father, Teacher, Preacher. Those, as people said, children should be seen, not heard, don't speak until spoken to, rich
Mm.
people, thieves, all the stuff that you believe that's absolutely not true. So you've got to change your references. And the only way you do is by learning, by watching podcasts like this, by connecting with other people that are growing and learning. And, that comes to sometimes releasing people, releasing friends along the way that don't serve you or don't serve, the purpose that you're on, or going to sit there and tell you that you can't do it. Because, where we say the top 5 people you spend the most time with is where you're going to end up with your money, with where you live, with the type of, living you want to have. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it goes back to choice. It's
Choice.
really a choice. It's not what's happened to you, it's what you do with it that makes the difference.
Mm. And so, how many countries have you spoken at? How many businesses have you worked? I'm curious.
I've done over 1,000 programs in all 50 states,
Mhm.
and I've spoken in 26 countries now.
And what's it like an event? How many hours? What's going on? You take. I heard the general, and I'm just wondering how the detail works. Like, is it an auditorium?
Well, there's a lot of
Uh,
preparation that goes in. As soon as I start, I had a big city in the United States contact me today about coming out and speaking live. So the first thing is doing my homework. So I go in, I Google, I find out deep. I want to know more about that client than they know about themselves. Because what you find out in some of these big companies is most people don't know what the company vision is, the mission, and the companies that really do well, everybody does. So, there's a model that I can see right away. And then it goes into personalization. So I have a pre-programmed questionnaire so I can personalize it. I want to make sure to, maybe if it's depending on the type of meeting, to integrate stories about the people in the meeting. Before I'll do that, I'll do a video, pre-conference video, to get people excited about what we'll be talking about and get the participation up. And then when you get there, a lot of it's about the sound team. I'm the big fan of the sound team because they make you sound good or bad. And frankly, there's a lot of speakers out there that are prima donnas, and they want the water at a certain temperature and all that. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy who is the garbage man on the back of the truck. So
mm,
I know that everybody's important, and the most important people are the people behind the soundboard. And I go right over to them and make friends with them, and I bring them, bring them a gift certificate for something, anything that I can do, to ingratiate and know that I'm on their side, and I'm going to make their life easy. So I bring a lot of my own equipment. I'll have everything that's ever gone wrong at a conference, I have in my bag corrections for. So
mm,
whether it's different chords, whether it's my own, I bring my own mic that'll plug into their system. I bring in my own pointers and everything that could possibly be needed, because most people don't do it. And they
mm.
instantaneously like you. And then it's about getting on stage and delivering. And really, if you've done your homework, you'll know the company and they'll feel like you really know them. And then it's just about having fun, because the easy part is giving the speech.
Okay.
The hard part is getting the speech. And that's really what it's all about. Same thing,
Mm.
the easy part is, enjoying some of the fun and signing those autographs, but the hard part is writing the book, you know, putting the time in, because that's the backstory. And when my daughter, said to me, I said, she said, "You get paid tens of thousands of dollars to give an hour speech. It's crazy what people pay you. And I said, I'm going to show you something. And I pulled out a stack of 650 speeches that I did in every city in this country, big and small towns that you've never heard of, for $250 for the whole entire day and a $40 a day per diem for food every single day. And I speak for almost 8 hours and I go to the next city. And I remember driving through Jonesboro, Arkansas, and all I thought to myself was I was in AAA ball. I was in the minor
Yeah.
leagues right now, and I was doing what I needed to do. I was going to play all those small towns until
Yeah.
I could get into the major leagues and speak in front of thousands of people. And that's what it goes into. You got to put the wood in to get the fire out.
Oof.
Nobody just got on stage and was amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
It
a
doesn't
lot.
happen like
It
that.
doesn't. And that's where the backstory comes in. So
Mm.
when people see, oh, you've got all these things, and my daughter recognizes now because they have to put in the hard work too to get to where they're going. So it's
Mm.
the same for everybody. The person, if you're going to work a 40-hour week, you can't expect to be a millionaire.
It's actually, I never actually asked that question, but like, from what you just said is so accurate, and I've had all those experiences that you're saying. Is what's it like to have the millions that you've dreamed about and you work so hard for, and we know that money doesn't make you happy. What's it like when you actually attain the goals?
I can tell you that I always say money doesn't buy happiness. It just gives you choices.
Okay.
I've had it. My ex-wife took it all away from me. I got it again. But you know what? It's just, it's dead people on pieces of paper. It doesn't fulfill you. It doesn't make you better. No matter what kind of money I had, I'm not going to have a better meal,
Yeah.
all those things. And it really goes to priorities.
True.
What is your definition of success? I always heard the definition of success was, the attainment of a worthy goal or ideal was, the journey. So how am I? I'm like any entrepreneur. When we complete something, there is a depression that hits because you did it, you achieved your goal, and then you go into now what? So real entrepreneurs, when you look at their journey,
Yep.
they get charged by starting that next project, by doing that next thing.
Mhm.
So when I kind of complete something, is that sense of, what now? Unless I'm speaking or something else, I'm doing my podcast, but those are regular things. It's like, what's that thing that's going to give me that juice I had when I was 20 years old, that fire in my belly, and most people coast and let that burn out and then they regress. But I like to, what's going to do that and what's doing it now. One is you being, where I'm at, in the building and helping you. And I've proposed to you a couple of real exciting ideas. And now we're also starting a magazine called the Thought Leaders Journal. So I'm going to have, tons of my friends from around the world are contributing editors. So, people are going to be able to get a taste of everything because my friends are wide. They don't just they're not in leadership where I am. They may be in tech, they may be in finance or real estate, or they're all across the board in customer service and branding. So, I want to have a magazine that is for people that want that knowledge and they want to see the top people and get that how-to in one place. So I'm real excited about that.
And that's great stuff. And it reminds me of a question I'd like to ask you is, you're someone who's highly connected. You know a lot of people. You've maintained a great reputation because you have great character. My question to you is, what's your take on relationships in life and business?
Well, first of all, if you give to get, you're even.
Give to get, you're even.
You give expecting nothing in return, you're ahead of the game. So, one is my brain works like that. So if you say, do you know something here? My brain is going to go, who do I know there? Or if you name, I'm going to Ruidoso, New Mexico. I'm going to go, oh, you got to go past the statue. The horse is there, and there's this restaurant here called this. And it's just how it works. I got a phone call from the president of Heineken in St. Martin, and he left me a message saying I could put two people together that may live next door to each other, and you're going to find out that their aunt's sister knows this, and you're going to have like 5 degrees of separation before they even know it. And it's how my brain works. It's connections. It's because I first want to think, how can I hook this person up and help them? How can I put two people together? What can I do to serve? And it's just the way it works for me in my brain. And connecting people that can help them out first. Because my friend Bruce Turkel wrote a great book called All About Them. And that's what it really is. You know, who's the most important person in the world to anybody is themselves. So if I focus on you, you like me. If I focus on me, you know. So and it's not easy when you achieve things too to not want to share with people. And you know, it's interesting because I had a phone call right before we started, and that's an individual who is a very high attaining superstar woman in business and makes a lot of money, but she finds herself not being able to have normal conversations about the things she's doing and attaining for other people, thinking that it may be stuck up or bragging or whatever, when that's just the realm of people that she's in. You know, it's when I get together my speaker friends at a conference once who were sitting down and said, "What are you doing?" He's, "Oh, I just got back from Singapore. Oh, I was in New Zealand last week and I just did this." And we stopped for 1 second and said, "Do you know, if people were sitting hearing us right now, they would think these people, the most stuck up, full of themselves people in the world. But this is our job. This is what we do." And for me, that's the juice, is being able to go almost anywhere in the world and know somebody.
That's so
And
cool.
be able to hang out with them, or be able to call somebody when my SEO guy had gotten hurt. When my SEO guy got hurt in Cambodia, and the Khmer Rouge were bringing him to Vietnam to this hospital, I called a speaker I knew in Vietnam that had seen me speak in the Philippines, and it just sent me something on Facebook when the pandemic hit, and he couldn't understand why people were on a food line with nice cars in the United States, and I had explained this just happened to them. You know, it was sudden. Sneezed on the truth.
It's good luck.
And I called him. I said, "My friend's going to this hospital." He said, "Let me call a friend. We'll get him into a better hospital." My SEO guy, Anthony, calls me up. He said, "How did you get the head of the BBC News and Sky News in Vietnam to get me to a better hospital and come here?" And he was just, he's the British guy who's the head of, I didn't know he was the head of BBC News, but I picked up the phone. And I always say, if you don't ASK, you won't GET. What's the worst thing that can happen? Someone says no,
No.
and you're in the same spot you were 2 seconds before. They
Yeah.
say yes, you went to the next level. And how many times have you asked somebody for something and they said yes, and it blew your mind because you didn't think they'd say yes and you couldn't even believe it? And then you beat yourself up going, "I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid. Why didn't I ask that before?"
I'll tell you what. I should have met you in 2017. That's crazy. You're so right. You're so right. I mean, it's you're an expert for a reason, but you know, you just experienced in life, and you're giving us the secrets, and we appreciate it.
Well, sharing is caring.
Rick, you talked about the friends that you hang around are very important. You have a lot of friends. Your circle, what do you consider the recipe for how you should be interacting with people as you're trying to reach your goals and you're maintaining friendships in life?
I mean, the friendships I have, most of my really closest friends are in the business now, because I like to surround myself with super smart people and thought leaders, and, you know, because that's my path. And I think it's important that you have some people that you could share it with. In my book, Living a Championship Life, I have my goal setting formula. And what I talk about is, you know, there's going up goals and growing goals. And going up goals you may share with everybody, and that might be like, you know, weight loss or stop smoking. But your growing goals, your personal goals, what you want to make, I only share those with certain people that fully support me 100%. You know, because some people say, "Well, you can't do that," like my family did, because that was their belief system. And so many people will go, "Maybe they're right," and then they give up. So I only share my goals with people that fully support me, that are going to be my cheerleaders, that you can do it, you can make it happen, because you need that support. You know, you need that, you know, on your journey, because as an entrepreneur, it's not easy. You're going to fail. You know, you're running your own business. Somebody's not giving you money as a salary, which makes you comfortable. You're uncomfortable. So, you know, and that said, it really helps you kind of to hit your goals is the relationships that you keep. You know, and that's why, you know, having a coach is so important, having the support system of people who get you. You know, and, you know, that's why I like to go to my speakers conferences, because I get together with 4,000 people that are as crazy as I am. We all get each other.
And I love that, because, you know, I know you, and I get to, you know, learn from you now, which is an amazing thing. And I realize you're just a very happy person too. So like, where does that like balance of life, of work, you know, to a younger person, What do you say when they're trying to balance that, trying to make, business success, trying to, meet new relationships and experience stuff and grow in life? What's your take on balance and organizing that type in life?
I think we're always trying to achieve it. We never get it. And, frankly, when you're young, you got to put that wood in.
Mm-hmm.
You got to establish yourself, and it's when you've got that energy, that time, and all that, and understand it. If something doesn't work out, then you go to the next thing. It might not been the right situation for you. That's really what it boils down to. It's not that you didn't work. Maybe it was that wrong thing. It was a wrong fit. A lot of times I'll go into a company and I'll move people around because I always think it's better to make the save than to go and find a new person. Because a new person is going to have to be trained. Someone's going to have to train them. It costs you money. They may not work out, etc. But sometimes you could move somebody lateral, and all of a sudden it matches their personality. Because I hire people based on their personality styles, not their talent. They've got to all be talented. But I know that certain positions have certain personality styles, and I need to make sure, because one, I don't want to mess up the chemistry of an existing team. But more important, that person, based on their personality style, may not work well in that job.
Yeah.
You're not going to put me in a job or a position ever that is so analytical and detailed, because I'm a creative, expressive driver. That's my personality style. I set up checklists and all that for the details because it's not something that I'm good at. I leave the details to the other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to the highest and best use. What are your strengths? What are your talents? And focus on that, and then surround yourself with people that fill your void of the talents you don't have to help you get to where you need to go.
One question about life is that purpose. Do you have that defined for you?
I think I've always have it. I think I've got a higher purpose to just help people. I haven't figured it out yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's through me or through my children or it's through my books or it's through what they're doing, because they're doing amazing things. So, I just keep going forward. And I've felt this way for 30 years, that there's something important I'm supposed to do. I don't really know what it is, but I just keep doing. And maybe I've already done it. Maybe I'm not done doing, but maybe I've done it already and I don't know it yet.
Do you have like where you could define, I know you have many, but like one of the coolest experiences in your life where like you really just kind of like had a big smile, like this is the coolest experience, maybe besides the birth of your children? What would
I can tell you exactly. I was speaking at the Global Speaker Summit in Auckland, New Zealand. And the Global Speaker Summit is 500 of the top people around the world, and they all think they should be on stage instead of you. And I was one of the keynoters there. And for 2 days, I listened to everybody bash Americans. And I didn't want to be the ugly American in another country either. So I was just sitting there taking notes. And one guy, he got up there and talked about how he made money in the middle of the night and everything. And he was kind of pompous. And then there was another guy who got up, and his name was Frederick Harron. And he's an unbelievable speaker. He's coached thousands of speakers around the world. Super talented guy. And he said, well, what would happen if you were on stage and something happened to a celebrity? Let's say Michelle Obama. When Michelle Obama was elected Prime Minister of the United States, what would have happened if something happened to her? Well, I'm writing this stuff down because this is great material. So I got up on stage, and my program was about sharing the pie, because the process, the thought process based by this guy Cavett Robert, who started the National Speaker Association, was make the pie bigger so everybody could eat from the pie. My philosophy is the pie is big enough. I want to share some pie. So if I can't help you, I'm going to call my friends. I have an internet company. I have a bunch of them, but the main one, Advantage Continuing Education Seminars, does continuing education for attorneys, accountants, construction, legal, anything where someone needs a license to get credits for their license. We're in that business. So a lot of the faculty are friends of mine, and they're in the room. So I got up on stage and I started talking. 10 minutes in, my microphone went completely dead. Now, I'd seen speakers before where their PowerPoints went dead or something, and they started looking at their PowerPoints and they just failed. And I always say that when Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are up on stage, Rolling Stones, when Keith Richards plays the long note, you never know. He doesn't stop. He just keeps going. You don't know he played the wrong note unless you are a musician yourself and have an amazing ear. That's the reality of it. So nobody knows, so you just keep going. Well, I went New York on the crowd and I started shouting at the top of my lungs so loudly that everybody could hear. Then the AV guy came up, stuck his hand in my pants, and as he had his hand in my pants, I had my arms out to the side like this, like I was being frisked by TSA. I did not stop talking for 1 second. When the microphone came back on, and fortunately, we were Facebooking it live. So we were streaming it, so we were able to capture the audio. Otherwise, it would have been 10 minutes of dead audio, just maybe faintly hearing me screaming. The place went crazy. I looked at the audience, all speakers, and I said, we're professional speakers. This is what we do. I said, you could take the New Yorker out of New York, but you can't take New York out of New Yorker. Place went crazy. And then I said, Gil, I said, you've been making money in the middle of the night. I said, I make money laying on the beach in South Florida, sharing my friends. And I named all my friends in the audience who are on the faculty. And I said to Frederick, Frederick, I must be working too hard. I said, because I missed the election when Michelle Obama was elected Prime Minister of the United States. Well, the Aussies, the Brits, the US people were going nuts because it was funny, but it wasn't painful at him. And afterwards, the testimonial that Frederick Harron gave me after I kind of, socked him a little on that dig was amazing. And he said, this is a man that doesn't speak from the mind. This is a man that doesn't speak from the brain. This is a man that speaks from a heart that's raw, and real. He goes, I'll remember this forever. And then he invited me to stay at his guest house in Singapore when I stayed there. And I'll remember getting on that stage with the place going nuts. People were talking about it for days because what would you do if your mic went dead? I have seen speakers cry on stage. I have seen big speakers completely fail on stage, and that's not happening in my world. So I just went forward, and that was absolutely the best, better than anything, just because it was in front of my peers, the toughest audience on the planet, because they all think they should be up there instead of you. And so many speakers I knew that I was friends with that never ever saw me speak. And so many testimonials were, I've never seen Rick speak, and even the last one was a guy who owns a company called eSpeakers, which is a big kind of a bureau CRM for speakers. And he said, saw Rick last night, blew me away. I could watch him again. It was amazing, and to have those accolades coming from your peers, that was pretty much at this point, with the exception of, I don't know, walking into when I was at Pembroke Pines Mall and I was looking for my friend's book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, okay, Coach Goldsmith. And certainly I get the book and I said, do you have the solutions-oriented leader? And right there at 11:30 at night, they brought my book over to me, which wasn't supposed to be released for 2 weeks, and I'm FaceTiming it live. And the girl who designed the book cover, she is in town to help launch the book from the Philippines, and she sees her book cover in a bookstore for the first time in her life live. That was super cool.
Wow. Oh, I know you have stories. So we're going to have to do a part 2, Rick, because I want to keep digging into your stories. I guess my remaining questions for you would be, and I appreciate your time and coming on the show today. You say that you're a serial entrepreneur. How many businesses do you have?
Let me think. I'd say, there's 8 internet companies, about 10.
Awesome. And it's just so cool to see because, I mean,
you need a corporate chart basically to figure it out sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we'll dive in other episodes of how you actually run 10 businesses. I'm sure you're not day to day with them all, but you're overseeing what your investments or how you play your role in each of them. So it's so interesting. So I guess my ask is, maybe tell us some more wisdom that you want to share, who you are, what you're offering now, how people could find you, and just the message that you're spreading day to day.
I think really for your audience, people that want to grow, people that want to become millionaires at some point, people that are just not knowing what they need to do first, second, or third, the two best things is one is our coaching program, individualized coaching.
Mhm.
And the second is the solutions oriented mastermind. And what the solutions oriented mastermind is, it's a 12-week program where you're in with another group of entrepreneurs. We keep it small. And what everybody does is we help them to work on their business goals.
Mhm.
And what you end up happening is you end up forming your own personal board of directors in this group, because the total group goal of the group is to help you to get where you want to go faster.
Mhm.
And I like to have diverse groups. So there's people from all different types of businesses, because they have a different perspective than
Mhm.
people that are solely in your business and have only one way of looking at a problem. Remember, we want everybody getting up in the helicopter. And we found that those mastermind groups, and I've been a part of mastermind groups for years, just help people to, one, generate an awesome return on their investment, but more importantly, not have to go and suffer some of the mistakes and failures that they would have doing it on their own. And that's what I always say, my organization, when I'm at the Speakers Association, it's like getting a 2-year college education in 6 months. That's why I advocate listening to audios and videos. Almost everything I've ever learned has been sitting in my car, because you spend so much time in your car. And I used to say to my mother, if I knew my schoolwork like I knew my music, I'd be a straight A student. Now I listen to all that stuff because you know all the words of your favorite songs and all that, but you can't remember who the king of Mesopotamia was, as if it makes a difference in your life. But now I know my schoolwork, so to speak, like I know my music, because I'm hearing it over and over again. I do my affirmation every morning that I've been doing for 30 years. I do it on stage.
Which one is that?
I'm a healthy, vital, active, happy, and successful human being. I affirm today that all tissues and organs in my body are functioning perfectly, and that's the way it's supposed to be. I'm more relaxed than before because I choose peaceful, loving thoughts and release my fears, worries, and anxieties. Tension is gone because I'm creating an atmosphere of ease and confidence. My mind is uncluttered because I set specific goals and plan action steps for their accomplishment. I feel better now. Nature uses the food that I eat, the air that I breathe, the water that I drink, and the rest that I get to rebuild, repair, and revitalize me for the future. Radiant energy flows through me. I also affirm today money is plentiful and an abundant supply, and this money flows freely and constantly into my life as I render loving service to all mankind.
Amen.
That's what I say.
Wow.
And, what do you say? It's going to be one of those days. And then at the end of the day, because you had a mom or grandma that said bad things happen in threes, and your brain was going on the road to make you right. And you go, soup, I knew it was going to be one of those days. Like, what'd you get for being right? So it's
The
where you
secret, yep.
focus. It's when you buy a new car and suddenly you see everybody on the roads driving the same car. You never notice for it. Your brain's going on search to make you right and go, hey, that was a smart move. So
Would you say that's, the popular word I bring up on these episodes is manifestation,
attraction.
law of attraction?
Completely. And some of my friends make fun of me, but I call them welcome to my life moments. And when I see my kids having them do the same thing, I say, this is a welcome to your life moment. That happens to me all the time, where all of a sudden I meet somebody and boom.
Welcome
It's
to my
like,
life.
this happens all the time to me. I mean, like, I got a call from the head of the city planner from Paulson, Montana, to see if I would come out there. 10 minutes. That's why I was a little bit late on the phone call. And he said, I said, you got a 305 area code. He said, I'm moving from here to Paulson, Montana. Would you like to have breakfast at Lulu's this Saturday in Coral Gables? Welcome to my life.
We'll wrap up the episode with, what's the Rick Goodman vision? What can we see the next decade out of Rick Goodman? What are you seeing?
I see me being on more stages, helping more people, one-on-one to help grow their business. Maybe helping people to, getting them into, so to speak, an incubator, and they have their ideas, and let's see, if these ideas work. You say, how do you do a lot of these things? A lot of my stuff I've automated. I have when we built Neurology Associates Group and I came down here, we had 2 clinics. I built 13, and the whole theory was, in my theory, was the McDonald's or Burger King. I wanted them to all look the same, feel the same. So, or Fridays, and you go to TGIF Fridays, you know where the bathroom is, because it's in the same spot in every TGIF Friday. So what people know what to expect, so they feel comfortable. So that's how we set up the clinics, the same way, as they all looked, smelled, same colors, all that theme. And it's the same for your business. It goes back to branding, so that people don't get a mixed message, that they know this is the problem that you solve, because people pay, they want 4 things. They want pain relief, they want solutions, results, and they want to know how long it's going to take. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, you want to say any parting words to the audience?
I guess the only parting words is, if you'd like to connect, you can connect with me, Rick at rickgoodman.com. Or, if you're interested in the solutions-oriented mastermind, just go to solutionsorientedmastermind.com, sign up, register, ask a question. We're going to be kicking one off in the next month, and that's what we have. That's what's going on, and
I
you can
love
look
it.
for the adaptability zone
And that's
coming out.
rickgoodman.com also, and solutions-oriented
Mastermind.
mastermind.com, at Rick Goodman on Instagram.
Yeah, connect me on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. And, if you WWRD and you're watching this podcast and you mention the podcast only, and I say, wonder what would Rick do? If you have a challenge, if you overcome something, if you give me something specific, I will get back to you in 24 to 48 hours to help you, only if you put in that you were listening to this on the Millionaire Voices podcast.
Wow. Well, thank you for that blessing. I'm definitely going to market that. I'm definitely going to let people go ahead and reach out to you, because if you guys want free, really, really valuable information and wisdom, I would go ahead and take that offer. So thanks so much, Rick. I really appreciate you coming on this show,
Thank
man.
you
It
for
was an
having me.
honor. It really, I want to have a part 2 because I want to keep talking and asking you stories, but I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to working with you. I'm looking forward to seeing how you're going to help the world. And I know you're going to do it. So let's just take it to the top, is which my mantra is.
Sounds good.
And we'll talk soon.
I always say keep making it happen.
Keep making it happen.
There you go.